Y'all ever killed someone before? How do you reconcile with taking a life? Before we start, any y'all blind? I know someone in here is a 5th grade teacher. I'm sure some of you are curious how I managed to be responsible for the act of taking one's life. Y'all ever been to Africa? No. The start of every good story, huh? I once ventured into the motherland as but a child at the age of 6, whereby I found myself plagued by the inability to perform the most basic of bodily functions, presumably due to the shock my body faced going from a humid, warm environment in Boston to a dry air gajillion degree Ethiopia. This might come as a shock to some of you, but medical expertise in the mountains of Ethiopia is a bit lacking and primordial in nature. What do I mean? Stumped by my condition of being unable to take a shit, the best and brightest the mountains had to offer unanimously agreed upon the way to move forward was to kill a goat. So they took some poor son bitch from the farm, dragged his ass out right in front of a church dedicated to the archangel Michael, and just let this boy shit! In the name of Jesus! Let this boy shit! They stabbed that son bitch like he was the black goat. Black goat. Shub-Niggurath, which is, that is a hilarious name, by the way. H.P. Lovecraft. Yog-Sothoth. Goya sauce. Ronova. Shibalanke. Xiuhcoatl. Waxaklahun Ubah Kan. Huitzilopochtli. Why do I bring this chain up? Because that was a true story, by the way. They killed that fucking goat so I could see. I bring it up because it has horrifying implications regarding the Pyro Sovereign itself. My friends, it could still be alive. Not as a dragon, but as a human. You know, I'm gonna try something different today. It's Sunday night. Y'all know how we get down on these days. I'm just gonna drop the reason right here and now why the Pyro Sovereign could be a human. And it's this note right here from King Och-kan himself. Quotes, "The devolution of the Pyro Bishops proves that dragonkind has been abandoned by the evolutionary path. Their heirs have lost the primal flame's purity, and the Sovereign of Fire shall never again be reborn from amongst them." Some of the more astute among us might already have picked up on what this means. The last time bishops became impure, their respective sovereign was reborn as a human. That's how Neuvillette came to be, and now we're being told the Pyro Bishops have also become impure, meaning the Pyro Sovereign cannot be reborn as a dragon. I don't know what to do now. This is kind of the end of the video, and I put it at the front. Yesterday, we learned that Waxaklahun Ubah Kan has long been attempting to reunite the two Golden End Treaty pieces in order to enact some plan to thwart the Abyss. While this goal is a noble one, apparently the way the plan works is not for the benefit of most. When speaking with old och-kan on the matter, he tells us, quotes, "The child is right. It can indeed tame the filth of the Abyss for all of Natlan, but not in the way you would imagine. Which is why I had to hide it on this ship." Furthermore, when Bona uncovered the truth hundreds of years ago, she'd say of the Golden End Treaty, quote, "So not only is this not the secret abyss-taming treasure, but based on the inscriptions carved into it, it is hazardous and should not be touched." She'd also leave behind a note that reads, quote, "The machine that could save Natlan but not us. So many heroes have been sacrificed for this, so I draw us here. I get it. You can't touch it, can you? That's why you need our hands. Need Coco's." And to really seal the deal, Och-kan himself would write, quotes, "Not once has the sage ever cared about humanity's survival. For the sake of the path of evolution, the sage was even willing to sacrifice a future of its own kind." What's going on here, my friends? What exactly can be done with the Golden End Treaties that would rid Natlan of the Abyss, but at a terrible cost? Well, Waxaklahun Ubah Kan tells us himself, actually, albeit in a very vague manner. Originally, Waxaklahun Ubah Kan wanted to do this with Och-kan, but was, betrayed. However, in their conversation, he'd remark, quote, "You have failed, and humanity also. The only way forward is to honor Shibalanke's pact with me, piece our Golden End Treaties together, and activate..." I just said his name, but guys, I forget. I forget, and this one's on me. You know what? No, I'm gonna go the extra mile. Give me a second. Huitzilopochtli. And now this is the first time we've heard his name invoked in Genshin lore, so let's catch everyone up to speed. In Aztec mythology, Huitzilopochtli is the god of war, the god of the sun, and the god of sacrifice. Huitzilopochtli is perhaps the most important god in Aztec mythology, so much so the modern-day Mexican flag showcases an eagle eating a serpent, and it's meant to be symbolic of Huitzilopochtli given he's represented by an eagle. No doubt a mighty god, Huitzilopochtli was first and foremost a warrior who often battled against darkness. In this case, his sister. God damn, bro! No, we're going the extra mile. Coilzakwi, who represents the moon, and the rest of the siblings, I can't be fucked. They're all just a bunch of star gods. Okay, that sounds really pretty. They were apparently pissed that Huitzilopochtli was going to be born and sort of just looked at mom and said, okay, we are going to kill you now. But all Huitzilopochtli, in defense of his mother, sort of just said, okay, now's the time I want to be born. Grew to the size of a full-grown nigga in about 3 seconds, and he also had a weapon. A weapon that had to be powerful enough to cut down the moon and the very stars themselves. His weapon was Xiuhcoatl, the fire serpent. Huitzilopochtli would use Xiuhcoatl to kill his sister, proving to everyone the god of war, embodiment of the sun, doesn't fuck around. Xiuhcoatl, or the Fire Serpent, is inexorably linked with Huitzilopochtli, given not only did Huitzilopochtli give rise to Xiuhcoatl. Okay, well that's kind of like the main one, though. So what does this all mean for Genshin lore? Well, we have our own Xiuhcoatl, and it's the Pyro Sovereign, the one that's dead. Or maybe it isn't. The Pyro Sovereign Xiuhcoatl could very well still be alive. What do I mean? Waxaklahun Ubah Kan told us something interesting about Xiuhcoatl. He said, quote, after the Pyro Dragons faked death, all the descendants of the ancients knew us to kowtow before the throne, watching our civilization deteriorate by the day, marching inexorably towards decline. The Pyro Sovereign faked its death. That is interesting. Which death? By my count, I have 3 major conflicts Xiuhcoatl could have been in. The original war that pitted the sovereigns against the heavenly principles. The Great War of Vengeance when Nibelung returned with forbidden knowledge against the heavenly principles. And finally, his battle with Xbalanque. And now it's tough to say which death he could have faked, but the end of Waxaklahun Ubah Kan's statement is followed by something to the effect of the bishops declined in power and Waxaklahun Ubah Kan went on a journey to save his race, and in doing so lived with humans. So, right off the bat, this rules out the original war with the heavenly principles given humanity didn't exist at the time. However, if that's the case, then this only leaves the Great War of Vengeance that saw Nibelung return with forbidden knowledge, because it was after that war, Waxaklahun Ubah Kan set out to find a way to save his race, and raise och-kan to kill who he calls the decrepit old dragon. And part of the reason we know this is because in the Obsidian Code artifact set, it states, quote, in the days when the dispossessed divine envoy fell into realms devoid of light, and when the ruler newly returned destroyed the blasphemous citadel. Now, this is where I have a problem with the wiki, in that I don't very much agree with what the wiki states here. I believe the ruler newly returned is Nibelung, and the blasphemous citadel is Celestia. The set goes on to state, in the kingdom of bishops lucky enough to survive when heaven and earth collapsed, isolated by a vast sea of red soil. I mean, heaven and earth collapsing, that's the war with the second who came, and I obviously believe Nibelung is the second who came. Where their kin could only scrape by, impoverished in the expanse of the desolate sea, they enjoyed freedom by the grace of the one who ruled over flames, and yet the wisdom of fire had already been seized by the tide of fuculent darkness, only its grey corpse shambled on. To maintain dragonkind's remnant might, their blind, foolish heirs took violence for the rule of law. In this land of cinder soon to vanish upon which the sun had set, only one human cast their gaze toward the begloomed future. This human is Waxaklahun Ubah Kan. It was only after this war with the second who came as Nibelung with forbidden knowledge that Waxaklahun Ubah Kan set out to find a way to save his race and raise och-kan to kill who he called the decrepit old Pyro Dragon. This can't have happened after Xbalanque killed the Pyro Sovereign, because it was Xbalanque killing the Pyro Sovereign that Waxaklahun Ubah Kan could not and did not account for. Further backing Xiuhcoatl faking his death in the Great War of Vengeance is the fact that he was consumed by the Abyss, and as we know, when Nibelung returned, he had the power of darkness, forbidden knowledge, and led the other sovereigns in a fight against the heavenly principles. This matches perfectly with Nibelung being the second who came, and, more importantly, this means Xbalanque killed the Pyro Sovereign for realsies, which means there could very well be a human Pyro Sovereign walking amongst us today. Thank you. I had a lot of fun today.